Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make a cheesy macaroni, beef, and shrimp casserole. Now, this is similar to the Americanized version of goulash, except for it's added into a pan with cheeses and it's baked in the oven. This recipe, you can get about 12 to 15 servings. It's a great comfort food dish with seafood in it, of course. It's absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all what you'll need to make your cheesy macaroni ground beef and shrimp casserole. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 1 pound of lean ground beef. It could be ground beef chuck as well. You also need 2 pounds of small Louisiana shrimp, elbow macaroni, salted butter, tomato paste, sugar, shredded mozzarella cheese, shredded pepper jack cheese, and for your seasonings, you'll need 1 yellow onion, green bell pepper, garlic, and for your additional seasonings, you'll need some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Now, if you don't have this, you can use these Adaran's Creole seasoning or the Stop Your Mama Cajun seasoning. You will also need some Chef Paul Prudhomme's poultry and seafood magic, dried oregano, dried basil, and some dried thyme. And to bake your casserole, you will need a regular standard 9 by 13 inch glass or metal pan. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. So I'm going to get started by chopping up half of a yellow onion. Okay, next I'm going to rinse off my green bell pepper. Next, chop half of a green bell pepper. Alright, here I have 3 cloves of garlic. I went ahead and cut them in half. Next, I'm going to take a garlic press and press the garlic. And there we go. Alright, let's get started with peeling our shrimp. So here we have a shrimp here. We're just going to remove the head off. We're going to peel the shell off of the shrimp tail. I'm going to take the shells and I'm going to place that in one bowl and take the shrimp tail and place that into a separate bowl. Alright, to devein the shrimp, here we have a shrimp tail. We're going to take a sharp knife and we're going to cut out the back of the shrimp. As you can see right in here, there's the contents of the shrimp's digestive tract. And you just take that and just pull that out. And from there, your shrimp tail has been deveined. From there, just going to place the shrimp tails into a small bowl. Alright, I've added my shrimp tails into this mesh strainer. And I'm going to rinse them off with cold water. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Okay, let's get started with making our homemade shrimp stock. So in this medium-sized 4-quart pot, I've added 1 1/2 quarts of water. Let's add some seasoning. Gonna sprinkle about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a 1/2 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's poultry magic, and a 1/2 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's seafood magic. I'm also going to add my shrimp heads and shells. Stir all your ingredients together. Let this simmer for 1 hour. Alright, it's been about 1 hour now for our shrimp stock. And as you can see, that's cooked down. It is done. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire off. Okay, here I have a mesh strainer with a small bowl underneath it. I'm going to pour the shrimp stock along with the shrimp heads and shells into the mesh strainer. From there, I'm going to shake the mesh strainer just to drain some of the stock. And from there, you can discard the shrimp heads and shells. And there you have it. Homemade shrimp stock from scratch. And once done, you should have about 2 cups of homemade shrimp stock in here. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with boiling our elbow macaroni. So in this large 8-quart pot, I've added 3 quarts of water. And to that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. Going to give this a quick stir. And from there, I'm going to let this come up to a simmer. Add 12 ounces of the elbow macaroni right on in there. Going to give this a quick stir. Let this simmer for 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, I let this simmer for a total of 10 minutes. You always want to make sure that you take your macaroni and have a taste of it to make sure that it's thoroughly cooked. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire off. Okay, I'm going to add my elbow macaroni into this strainer. Now you can rinse this off with cold water if you like, but I'm going to leave it as is. And from there I'm going to let this cool off until it's ready to be added into our casserole. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with sauteing our ground beef. So in this large saucepan, add 1 pound of our ground beef right on in there. Now I'm going to just give this a quick stir. Now as I'm stirring the ground beef, I'm kind of breaking it down a little bit. Let this saute for about 4 to 6 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 4 to 6 minutes now, and our ground beef is done. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire off. Alright, here I have a mesh strainer with a medium-sized bowl underneath it. From there I'm going to pour the ground beef into the mesh strainer. I'm going to give this a quick stir while it's in the bowl. And as you can see, that's the grease down there. We're just going to use a very small amount to saute our seasonings with. Okay, let's get started with our marinara sauce. So in this medium-sized glass bowl, I'm going to add 9 ounces in weight of the tomato paste. So when I say 9 ounces, that's 1 full can. In the second can, you're only going to use half. And to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of our homemade shrimp stock that we made. Let's add that in there. And while we're at it, we're going to add some of our herbs in here. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/4 teaspoon of dried basil, and 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme. I'm going to take my whisk and carefully stir all the ingredients together. Just start off really slow. And then from there you increase speed as you go. Now we don't really need to add any seasoning to this because we already added the seasoning from when we made the shrimp stock, and we added that in here. Now to cut the acid of the tomato, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar. We're going to give that a quick stir. There we go. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with making our fillings. So in this large 8-quart pot. Now remember the oil from the ground beef. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of that right on in there. And to that I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of salted butter. You can use unsalted as well. Just going to spread this around. And I'm going to let the butter melt. Alright, now let's add some seasonings. I'm going to add 1 1/2 cups of chopped yellow onion and 2/3 cup of chopped green bell pepper. Stir all your ingredients together. Let this saute for 6 minutes, stirring occasionally. Okay, next I'm going to add my 3 cloves of pressed garlic, our shrimp tails. And we're just going to sprinkle just a little bit of seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, and 1/4 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Seafood Magic. Stir all the ingredients together. Let this saute for about 3 to 4 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 3 to 4 minutes now. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire off. Next I'm going to add the marinara sauce. Followed by the ground beef and the elbow macaroni. Stir all your ingredients together. Make sure you stir it really well. And there we have it. Our filling is ready. Alright, so I'm going to take some salted butter. I'm just going to spread that around the bottom and the sides of the baking dish. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 375 degrees. I'm going to add the first half of the filling right on in there. Just spread that around like that. I'm gonna add a small amount of the mozzarella cheese. Then next I'm gonna add a small amount of the pepper jack cheese. Doesn't have to be a certain amount, just eyeball it as you go. Add the second half of the filling on top. Spread that around. Next, we're going to sprinkle some mozzarella cheese. Followed by the pepper jack cheese. Now I used 2 to 8 ounce packages of each cheese, but you're not going to use the whole 8 ounce package of each cheese. You just use however much you need, and that's it. Now it is ready to be baked. Place this into a preheated 375-degree oven on the middle rack. Bake this for 20 to 25 minutes. Alright, it's been about 20 to 25 minutes now. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Let this cool for about 30 minutes to an hour before serving. And for best results, you can serve this the very next day so that way the flavors can settle and increase overnight. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Cheesy macaroni, beef, and shrimp casserole made by a New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including this one. Go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's taste test is coming up next. Can't wait. Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. Yeah. Oh boy, you could taste that shrimp. It has a wonderful shrimp flavor. You can taste the flavors of all the seasonings that we added in the ground beef and those cheeses. Delicious. This company too is really, really good. So, give the recipe a try. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.